Hi, this is Marguerite from MoveToTacoma.com, and I'm here today with my colleague Bobby. Welcome, Bobby.
Thanks for having me.
So we're here to talk about a common question I get from folks that want to buy land for the first time. And I think realtors, when clients want to buy land, we're like, oh, because there's so much information that people don't know you need to know. So let's talk about it.
That is probably one of the single most important reasons with selling vacant land is the lack of information, and that's why there's thousands of properties out there for sale that are sitting because it's hard to get the information, and a lot of times it costs money. There are a lot of things that we can do for free, online resources and county that we can find some answers, but when you start getting into septic systems and things like that, you need to hire experts.
Yeah, so let's roll it back. So I mean, this is the thing that you know when you start looking at land online, right? Like you'll look at an acre that costs $20,000 and an acre that costs $500,000, and the difference is zoning, right? Like
Could be information.
Okay.
Could be so I've sold properties that we had all of the septic documents or septic tank installed already. All the utilities are there. It's ready to go. It's going to sell for a lot higher than the one right next door that doesn't have any information. So a lot of times it's just the ease of being able to have all of the information available and have a buyer confident to buy it.
So the considerations that you have is, first of all, like, do I want to build on this, or do I just want a piece of property where I can go camping or park the RV? So assuming you do want to build on it, then you have to start looking at things like utilities, like septic, electricity. What are the other considerations that people have in their feasibility?
Wetlands, finding out what part of the property you can actually build on. The biggest loose end is a septic tank. It can be anywhere from 15 grand to 60 grand.
And this is because like they have to figure out if
the soil,
right? So sometimes you have to build these big mound systems. Sometimes you can just work with what you have, right?
Yeah.
And these are all things that like people are looking at a piece of property and they're like, yeah, it's $150,000, a couple acres, good to go. And you don't have any idea about the well. You don't have any idea about the septic system. And how do people begin to piece this together? Like, what's the first step?
Septic designer, digging perk holes. Even if one property right next door has this type of septic system, doesn't mean the one right next door is going to have it. So the best soil is the dirty, rocky soil that's going to allow the stuff to drain right, but not too fast. So if you have sand or clay or anything like that, or too rocky, then it creates a drainage problem, or too much drainage too fast, and then you need a different type of septic system that has more of an elaborate drain field.
That's good to know. So
it can be expensive.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, I mean, before I became a realtor, I had no idea and started listing land. Like, I had no idea all the moving parts that went into first pricing the property and then finding someone to buy it. Because buying a piece of land isn't like buying a house, right?
It's much easier to buy a house.
Buy a house. So if you're buying a piece of land, I mean, is it 100% true that you just have to pay cash for the land, or are there people out there that will finance it? What are you seeing with your clients?
Most of from the research that I've done and what I've seen is credit unions have the best loans for a property that you don't plan to build. Banks do construction loans where you have a certain time period where you have to build. Credit unions, you can have, I think, up to a 15-year loan with Red Canoe Credit Union was one of them that I checked with. But a lot of banks don't like doing land loans if you're not going to build on it right away.
I think one of the things that's I'm always trying to explain, like when my friends reach out to me and say like, yeah, we want to pick up a piece of recreational property, or we want to buy some land now and maybe build on it later. Like the thing that's so interesting about land, it's probably the lowest price point to enter the real estate world with because there's no house on it. But it's also the most complex transaction, I would say. Like because there's so many moving parts. I would tell people like first step is find a real estate agent, and then from that real estate agent, find your loan. And from those 2 points, you have guides to kind of help you filter all the piece of properties versus what a lot of people do is like they're driving out somewhere on vacation or whatever and they see a piece of property and they're like, how do we make this happen? Like if you're starting to think you want to pick up some land, finding a realtor and finding your loan is probably the first step, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Finding a realtor that knows a little bit about land and is able to give you maybe not all the information on that land, but at least the things to look for.
It's truly like an area of specialization, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say at least in Pierce County, I'd say 80% of the agents never work with land and don't know anything about
That's
it.
right.
Which
yeah.
is one of the reasons I wanted to have you here today, Bobby.
Yeah. A lot of people will go